The White House calls Russia liars. And I'll give you the details on that. Also, on Russian state TV, they say that Russia should unleash nuclear torpedoes on the US. That's right. And I'll let you hear it directly here on this video. It's shocking. Yeah, we'll go over all that and more here right now. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And thank you so much for liking these videos. Let's jump right in because things are getting crazier here by the day in 2023. I thought that 2022 would cool down from 2021, and 2023 is seeming to be crazier than 2022. When is this madness going to end? I don't know. I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments, but here we go. Yeah, you can see here the US says the video of the jet that was downed by Russia decimates the Russian lie. Yeah, take a look here. Yeah, so you can see here in this video, this Russian jet comes along and apparently dumps fuel on the American Reaper drone, which they cost like over $32 million. It drops fuel on the drone and then it looks like it hits it or nicks it as well. And we're not sure if that was intended to or not, because that's not something you would maybe want to do, because that also could have, potentially caused a collision and also brought down the Russian fighter jet as well. So the problem with this is it was a scary situation, but nonetheless, it brought down the US Reaper drone, which some Americans think is an act of war. Now imagine if that was a manned pilot and there was an American pilot in there. Now here's the other part of this, is that Russia said that they didn't strike it and the drone basically went down on its own. Well, the drone didn't go down on its own. They made it go down one way or another, from the fuel dump and or making its propeller go down. Okay. The other thing here is that Russia is trying to say that this was in their territory. Okay. Well, to be in Russian territory, international law says you have to be within 12 miles of a country's territory. In this case, it would be Crimea, which, a couple things to state here is, number one, Russia illegally took over Crimea back in 2014. Okay, so first we have to just kind of address that, is that one, they illegally took over Crimea, just like right now they're trying to illegally take over Ukraine, but Ukraine was large enough to, and they've had a lot of help here from the US, the EU. They're just getting aircraft, fighter jets right now as well from Poland. And I'll get this here in a second. They're actually, another country is going to be giving them more fighter jets here as well. So the world has kind of stepped up and said, you know what, we're not going to let Russia do this again. We're not going to let Putin be Hitler 2.0, and has helped Ukraine fight off this invader. Okay. So number one is that first of all, Crimea is not really Russia's territory. They just took it. But if we'll set that aside and say, okay, it's now Russia's, they took it, it's theirs. You only have 12 miles. Anything outside of 12 miles is international territory. This incident happened about 50 to 54 miles off the coast. So it's not Russian territory, it's international waters. Okay. So this is like right now they're scrambling, the US and Russia, to go and retrieve the wreckage, which is said to be about 5,000 feet under the water. So they're not sure if anybody's going to be able to actually do that. But remember here that It's in international waters because it's like 50 miles off the coast. So if it was 50 miles off the coast, it wasn't in Russian territory to begin with. So Russia can't claim that the drone was in Russian territory because it wasn't. So, I even seen some comments of people saying, "Oh, well, Russia shot it down because it was in Russian territory," but it wasn't in Russian territory. That's just Russian disinformation. Because if it was in Russian territory, it would have had to be in within 12 miles, and it was obviously nowhere close to that. We're talking about 50 miles outside of that. So again, that's just Russian disinformation, which is, of course, Russia does this all the time. All the time, Russia does it. In fact, this is what Russia's probably just telling their citizens. Oh, it was in our land. It's a completely different story when the U.S. shot down the Chinese spy balloon. Of course, that went that literally went across the United States. That was over our homeland. We had the right to shoot that down because it was over our country. Clearly, that was within 12 miles of our border. It was over our country. A country has the right to shoot something down then because it's over your border. When something's 50 miles outside of your country, that's in international waters, any country can do that. Okay. So China can technically bring a warship and be 13 miles outside the US, and countries do that. Okay. The US has, warships outside of, China and, over there by Taiwan and all that stuff. And that's where there's like all that tension over there. China does that. And, countries do this all the time. But you have to stay outside of 12 miles. This was 50 miles outside there. And that's where like all the tension is right now. So if you're here that say, oh, Russia shot it down because it was in their territory, it wasn't. Russian disinformation. And then get this, the Russian defense minister decorated their two pilots for downing the US drone. Like, come on, bro. Like, seriously, you're going to decorate your pilots for doing this? Oh, congratulations. You did such a good job. Like, is this like, you're congratulating them for this? Like, all right. Yeah, you almost started World War III between the two countries. Let's give them a medal. Let's give them a medal. You might as well just shot it down with your guns or a missile, and then give them a medal too, as well. Again, you guys can let me know your thoughts on this, but this is how close the tensions are between us and Russia and China and North Korea. It's just on thin ice, right? Also, now Slovakia, after Poland just announced here, have both now agreed to give Ukraine Soviet era jets. Yeah, so Slovakia's government has approved a plan to give Ukraine a fleet of Soviet era MiG 29 fighter jets. Yeah, so again, a lot of people, I see comments, like, why is the US the only country helping Ukraine? And that's clearly not the case. So, I like to point that out to people just so everybody's aware of this. There is dozens of other countries helping out Ukraine, and that's a good thing because, I don't know how many people want to let Putin win this, and what kind of message that would send to the world here. If you watch my previous video of the arrest warrants that were just sent out by the International Criminal Courts for him, you should go watch that. It's a pretty good video here. But yeah, and what a lot of these countries are doing, Slovakia, Poland, and even the US here, is most of us, including the US, are sending them their tier 2 weapons and equipment, tier 3 even, which means they're older equipment. They're older jets, or so in this case, Soviet era fighter jets, as they replace them with newer fighter jets or tanks or any type of equipment. Okay, so as they're getting new stuff manufactured, they're giving them the slightly older stuff or older stuff, if you want to put it that way. Okay. So as they're getting new stuff manufactured, new stuff's coming in, they're like, okay, what do we do with the old stuff? All right, well, let's give it to Ukraine because it's better than them having nothing. Okay, so a lot of people got to realize that. So like when the U.S. says, okay, we're giving them billions of dollars of stuff, and they say, okay, we're announcing a new $2 billion package this month. Um, they're not actually giving them $2 billion, and it's not actually new money. It's just the money that's already approved from them, but they don't just give it all to them at once. It comes in stages, okay? And the new $2 billion is just, okay, this new stage is coming out of the already approved money, and they'll send them a new set of stuff to defend their country. It's not like they're sending them pallets of cash. They're sending them aircraft defense, to shoot down rockets and stuff like that. Okay, and other countries are doing this here as well. And it just shows you what kind of madman Putin is, and which kind of leads me to this. On Russia state TV, which is controlled by the government, similar to how Germany was during World War II. Interestingly, Germany is now a big ally of ours. They're part of NATO. Okay, so they're literally one of our biggest allies, part of NATO. Russia says they should unleash nuclear torpedoes on the US and the United Kingdom here. And I'm going to show you here the actual video. Take a listen to this, and then we'll discuss this here. And if it goes too fast, I'll show you the exact wording here that they said here. Take a listen to this. It's crazy.
Понимаете, если верить тому, о чем говорит Орбан, что вот они вот-вот уже действительно придут к тому, что нужно отправлять войска, ну, это все закончится, конечно, и Посейдоном, и цунами там, и высотой волны в 500 метров, в 300 метров. Так что...
Не будет тогда Великобритании?
Не, в Великобритании точно не будет. Я про Соединенные Штаты говорю.
Yeah, so you can see here a discussion on Russian state television raised the prospect of Moscow deploying missiles to target countries that are supporting Ukraine. On the Russia One channel, retired Russian general Yevgeny, good luck saying this name, Buzhinsky suggested that weapons such as the Poseidon and the Burvensten missiles should be used against the West, even if the latter would not be ready for service until the next year or two. Poseidon has already been tested, he said, which prompted the anchor to say that he would like to see it in action. He would like to, of course. Russian state agencies reported in January that the first set of Poseidon nuclear-capable super torpedoes was being developed for deployment on the Belgorod nuclear submarine, first announced by Putin in 2018. United States and Russian officials have both described Poseidon as being capable of triggering radioactive ocean swells to render coastal cities uninhabitable. Guests on this show with Vladimir Solovov have made repeated threats about Russia's nuclear capabilities while framing Putin's invasion of Ukraine as a proxy war between Moscow and NATO. Solovov said that he would like to see, quote, Sarmat missiles in action too. They would like to see this, if you can believe the wording that they're using. They would like to see this, referring to hypersonic nuclear capable missiles, codenamed Satan II. This is the wording that they've chosen for this stuff, right? Which Putin has also boasted about. Quote, they are imprudent, describing the actions of Western countries. We will see it in action. And they warn viewers that further involvement of Western countries in Ukraine could mean that it will all end with a Poseidon and a tsunami, a 300 or 500 meter wave, and then Great Britain will be no more. Yes, Great Britain will definitely be no more. I'm talking about the United States as well. And if Sunak is washed away, who will Emmanuel Macron will have left to kiss? Yeah, referring to the British Prime Minister and the French President. Yeah, this apocalyptic moment, yet somehow lighthearted banter, was tweeted out on Tuesday by Francis Scarr of the BBC Monitoring, who called this evening with them, this interaction, quote, another totally normal evening on Russian state TV, in which the guests and anchors were, quote, fantasizing about a nuclear tsunami that engulfs Britain. So this just gives you an idea about the madman that Russia and Putin and their cronies or henchmen we're dealing with here. And this is the stuff that they broadcast on TV that's controlled by the government, and they're broadcasting to their citizens, millions of people. And just this is stuff that they're hearing on a weekly basis, and they're sending out on Russian state TV. It's just absolutely mind-boggling that they would send this out, and this is, I just don't even, like, imagine how many people, like, when you send this out on state TV, this is what a pretty decent size of their population is going to be thinking and hearing over and over and over. I mean, when you're showing this on your TV station over and over and over, I mean, this is what your population is going to be thinking. You know, if you keep telling people, that your war is to liberate Ukraine, to liberate Ukraine, to liberate Ukraine, what do you think your population is going to think? That you're there to liberate Ukraine? I mean, they only know what you're going to tell them. And this is what, just like in the war, World War II with Germany, the German soldiers were completely flabbergasted when the war was over, and that they were the bad guys. That, they thought that they were there to liberate these people, right? Because of only what Hitler told them. When the reality was is that they were invading all these other countries, and they probably should have figured that out. I mean, maybe some of them did, because it was pretty obvious. So you're going into all these other countries, invading them. But a lot of the soldiers were shocked to learn what atrocities had happened. And you can kind of relate that to Russia, as they're invading Crimea, or did already. They're invading Ukraine, and now they want to invade Moldova and all these other countries. They want to take over Belarus, and you could just see country after country after country and the atrocities that are happening. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and when this will end or won't end. Yeah, so make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos. And if you appreciate these videos, don't forget to hit the like button. Here's some videos you should watch next. You should watch this video here with Putin getting an arrest warrant. Yeah, crazy video there. And also a report on how a missile can hit us from North Korea very quickly. Yeah, really good video there. Crazy. Or here's a video on Social Security and Medicare and something big coming in a few days. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.